What's up guys, welcome back to another video. Hope you guys had a fun little Halloween. So far, we are ending October with 15 wins and 7 losses on all of the public calls that I make here on YouTube, which puts our grand total to 125 wins out of the last 159 trades called here on YouTube. Last month was, fun fact, the worst month that I've had to date. Like, there was no month where I lost 7 trades, and there was no month where I had like a lower kind of overall win rate, but still it's about a 66% win rate throughout the course of last month. We still had a few days where we made just superb calls and made a lot of money, and I believe overall like things are going to start tilting back towards that 80% mark. Still, we're still at 78.6%, so if you're new to the channel, just understand that hey, you're probably at the right place, because well, we're right more often than we are wrong. But anyways, in today's video we're going to talk about Bitcoin, we're going to talk about ETH, we're going to talk about Sol, and let's kick things off on the weekly chart, where we have a bearish candle close. Because we have that bearish candle close, it means that we are looking for shorts heading into this week, or at the very least, our power of 3 is kind of tilting towards the short side. Doesn't mean that we are going to look for price to just start dumping right away. Just more of like, okay, in the event that we start pumping at the start of the week, Monday, Tuesday, we can look for a further expansion down. This will be the high of the week, if that makes sense. All right, here we are on the daily chart. So far, we have gotten Saturday and Sunday kind of pumping up. But one thing I do want to mention is that this bearish fair value gap right here that we mentioned from last week, that price had the potential to just dump from straight, like from that point onwards, plus the fact that we are in a range and we've just swept the range high, means that there's a very high likelihood that we're going to return to the range low. Right, so the SD card ran out of memory. We ended up using the wrong SD card. Anyways, we're back now. So that is the range high, and right now we're still en route to the range low. And I don't think this is really going to change until we take out these couple of levels at the very least. These are just relatively equal lows that exist on the daily chart that happen to align with the range low. So this level right here is 106,080. Basically, we're going to sweep this one out. Whether or not we are going to pump from that point onwards or just continue to dump, that is still very much up to the market. But if we just observe the weekly bias, well, the weekly bias is bearish. So that's already kind of one part of the equation that is pointing towards the downside. The second part of the equation is going to be the daily chart. Because, fun fact, over here, you're getting a change state of delivery. I really wish the Wi-Fi was a bit faster here, but this is a daily change state of delivery, which means that overall on the daily chart, we are in bearish order flow. And the fact that we have gotten rejected here and we're en route to forming a new low means that we are very much in bearish order flow. And so you just got to pay attention to, like, as much as we would like for Bitcoin to just start pumping from this point onwards, as much as the interest rates are kind of going down and the macro situation is favoring more bullish just direction for Bitcoin and ETH, the reality is we ultimately still have to trade what the market is telling us, and at the very least so far it is pointing towards the downside, and so we're not going to ignore that. We're just going to trade what the market is telling us and start going short. In this week we have potentially a bearish fair value gap here that we can take advantage of in the event that you retrace. Based on how Monday is kind of playing out so far, you're just dumping straight down, so we're going to try to catch trade on that. But in the event that we return back to this fair value gap right here on the day chart between 111,600 to 112,100, we're still going to be looking for shorts from that point onwards, just purely based off of the weekly bias. And of course, this could get blown through, and ultimately, price could flip this into potential support, and price could just start going up from that point onwards. Like, that is very possible, but until that happens, we're not going to be looking for longs, we're just going to be looking for shorts. Now, let's go onto the 1 hourly chart to look for supporting PD arrays that kind of like line up with our daily bias. So far, we can see that in the last couple of hours, like at 12 a.m., London has already returned back in this fair value gap, and it has started, dropping. Now, that's fair value gap number 1, that's fair value gap number 2, and then we could potentially have a CISD level here that could act as resistance. So at the moment, again, price is being pretty aggressive at the moment, but in the event that we retrace back into this fair value gap, this high here is also known as a weak high, because this is a high that did not sweep prior liquidity. In the event that you come back here, that is a valid short setup. Now, in the event that you just start breaking lower from this point onwards, that could also happen as well. But I think the ideal setup for today is going to be looking for some sort of retracement as we head into the New York session before we jump into any sort of trade. Now, it's also important that we take a look at news. Today is a very rare Monday where we have news. Now, usually on Mondays, like I'm talking about 3 out of the 4 Mondays of the month are usually very bad trading days. If like a lot of the losses that I have incurred over, a lot of the wrong calls that I've made on this YouTube channel throughout the last, at this point, 9 months, across the last like 270 days, most of these losses have actually come on Mondays because they're just non-news days. And like me personally, I don't really trade non-news days, but still I have to make a video every single day. just to, give you guys the setup. And most of the losses actually come during Monday. Reason because, well, there's no news. But today's a rare Monday where we have news. Tomorrow we have news. On Wednesday we have news. On Thursday we have news. And on Friday we have news. This is a this is a unicorn week where every single week is going to be very nice for trading. And we are definitely going to take full advantage of this. If you want to just follow along and see how we get 5 out of 5 wins, fingers crossed, then subscribe, turn on the bell notification, because I'm going to be posting a video every single day. But today, 10 a.m, we have news. And so this sets us up for a potential, like the ideal trading window that we're going to be looking for today is going to be between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Now, ideally, we want to be positioned into the trade around 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. because that's the hour before news. And we're going to look for the move to last until 11, potentially 12 p.m. So in the event that we retrace back into this level, anywhere starting from like, let's say 8 a.m. and you start seeing the market break a lower from this point onwards, that's going to be a valid setup. And you're just going to take the trade towards the short side and you're going to have a pretty good time. Now, the reason why I have kept these two levels here, I haven't deleted them, is because like ultimately I am not sure if it's going to be this level that's going to be the resistance, if it's going to be this level that's going to be the resistance, or if it's going to be that level that's going to be the resistance. And frankly, it is not my job as a trader to kind of predict which is going to be the top. Now, what is a very profitable thing to do instead is to mark these 3 levels out, set an alert. All right, so I'm going to add alert, I'm going to add alert, and I'm going to add alert. So in the event that price gets into these levels, I will be notified, and I'm just going to wait for that reaction, the 5-minute chart, to tell me that, hey, price is indeed going bearish, and that will be my trigger. That will be when I jump into the setup, and not before. Now, again, I've already mentioned that there is a possibility that price could just continue straight, and just going down from this point onwards, which is a possibility. So let's explore that possibility. So at the moment, London has broke below Asia. For the most part, you have been trading below Asia, which leads me again to believe that the London high may be swept before we start going towards the downside. And there is also the potential, like if you guys have seen, like if you guys have been watching this channel for a while, there is also the potential for an Asia accumulation, London manipulation, New York distribution towards the upside. Now, the reason why we're not going to be looking for longs today, as mentioned, the weekly chart is pointing towards the downside. The daily order flow is kind of to the bearish direction. The 1 hourly order flow is very much to the bearish direction at the moment. And so even if we do get a long, like it's never too late to wait for tomorrow before we jump into, like for example, let's say today does this, right? You put in some bullish market structure. It's never too late tomorrow to just jump into a retracement and go for a much higher probability long instead. The risk, however, when we try to look for longs today is that there's so many possible resistance points, like for example here, 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 and potentially even higher up, that at any point here it could just be a retracement before price continues to make new lows. And just like what we've already done on the daily chart, we've marked out this level here as a very high probability liquidity target for the market to get to, which means until we get to that level, I highly doubt we're going to be looking very bullish. And even if we are bullish, it's still ultimately just going to be some sort of retracement before we take this out, before maybe Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we get a huge reversal back to the upside. That is possible. But for now, like for reasons that I've already mentioned, we're going to be staying for looking short today. Now, just a quick disclaimer, it does not mean that when we are looking for shorts and that we have, marked out these bearish levels here, it doesn't mean that, okay, the moment price comes into here, I'm just going to set a limit, place my stop loss and put 2R. It doesn't quite work that way. Ultimately, these are just levels that we expect the market to have a bearish reaction from. We cannot actually enter until the 5-minute chart gives us that bearish reaction. What you're going to want to look for specifically is, for example, price is going to look something like this as it's entering into this area. You're going to want to look for a change in state of delivery. Basically, for this to potentially turn into a bearish order block. Once it does, boom, we place our entry here, place our stop loss and target 2R. That will be the ideal setup. So I want you to imagine here for a moment that en route to these levels, you're going to be putting in bullish structure, you're going to be putting in bullish order flow, and you only enter once you get a shift in structure or shift in order flow, and that is going to be the setup for today. Anyways, on ETH, it is looking pretty similar to Bitcoin at the moment, where like I'm very sure, so looking very similar on the daily chart, on the weekly chart, even to the 1 hourly chart. My suggestion is just to pick either one of the two. You never want to be opening a trade on both ETH and Bitcoin at the same time towards the same direction, because then you'll just be taking the same trade twice and you're just putting yourself at a huge amount of risk to getting stopped out twice, basically. So right now, this remains the intraday target. Price is very realistically going to hit this target before this video even goes live. And yeah, you're just going to be looking for the exact same setup. The only thing that's different on ETH compared to Bitcoin is that you have relatively equal highs here. So yeah, you have relatively equal highs as well. But not too much to mention about ETH. It's just looking exactly the same as Bitcoin. And so yeah, just going to be looking towards the short direction. Now Solana is looking quite comparatively weaker than ETH and Solana, because unlike ETH and Solana, unlike ETH and Bitcoin, where this level has already been taken out. Unlike Bitcoin and Ethereum, where this level has not yet been taken out, Solana has already taken out this level. But ultimately, you're still looking for a retrace back in this Herbert gap, ultimately for price to go towards the downside. But again, when it comes to crypto coins, I would highly recommend picking just one. If you're going to short side, I think Solana presents you with a very nice opportunity as well, because you have clear targets here, right here, and besides that, you also have clear order blocks, whereas on Bitcoin, it was straight out just bearish candles. But on Solana, you have a couple of bearish order blocks, you have a bearish favorite gap right here, plus that weak high that I was talking about. So either one of these three levels around the hours of 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., that's going to be when the entry kind of presents itself, and you're just going to look for a retrace, change an order flow, and that is going to be your setup for today. But anyways, in about a month from now, I'm going to be hosting a free masterclass breaking down this full system that you've seen here that has generated about an 80% win rate over the last 270 days. If you want to sign up for that for free, and this masterclass is going to be for free, if you want to sign up to that, we're going to be launching registrations either today or tomorrow. The first people that are going to get dibs on this is going to be people on the newsletter. So sign up to the newsletter if you haven't already. And otherwise, I will see you guys in tomorrow's video and potentially tonight on Twitter for some live trading. Ciao, ciao.